guys, welcome back to my channel, or if you're still here, I'm glad you're still here, watching, binging, appreciate it. In this video we are going to be making the Sunshine Wristlet by Bagstock sewing patterns. I actually forgot how much I enjoyed making this pattern. I made a whole bunch of these last year when she came out with it because it is a free pattern, which is amazing. And so someone suggested I do a video again on it, and I was like, you're right, I should, because it's such a quick, fun pattern. It looks really expensive and really nice, so I hope you guys enjoy making it. I did not include any foam or fleece in this pattern because I used leather and I used waterproof canvas. So I was thinking about it in my head and I was like, oh, adding that foam and fleece or fleece might be a little too much. So I actually really like it. It's still a nice weight. With the foam, I do like how buoyant it feels. Like it's really squishy, and like if you were to drop it and your phone was in it, nothing would happen to it. And it just keeps its shape really nicely. So that's up to you what you think. We decided to add the handheld strap option, which is so cute in my opinion. I love it. But you could also add a little wristlet strap. I sell these pre-made little pieces of black vinyl to make your own wristlet strap. You could add that to the zipper, or she has the option to add a D-ring to the pattern to clip it onto. But another thing you could do is turn this into a cute little wristlet, or no, it's already a cute little wristlet, a crossbody bag, and people go nuts for these, I'm telling you. It's just a cute little pattern. I added one zipper pocket, which is in the pattern, but I did omit the slip pocket, which is in the pattern, because I personally don't need it, and this one was for me. But if you join her sewing group, which I will link down below as well, there are hacks in the files, I believe, to add card slots, which is going to make people want it even more. Just saying. So I think that's pretty much all I have to say. I did have trouble with my zipper tabs, and that is because I personally hate zipper tabs, but there is nothing wrong with them. It's me. It's not zipper tabs, it's me. Just saying. So I hope you guys enjoy making this. Please let me know in the comments below if you did. Feel free to give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe before you make it. This is such a cute little wristlet, and I'm not even gonna lie, I totally forgot about it. I made so many of these last year, and then I've completely forgot about it. So I'm gonna be using fabric that I actually designed to make this, and yeah, I'm really excited. So this is kind of like this aged leather. I'm really excited to use. It matches so nicely. I'm pumped. So I am going to be using the handheld strap option, so you just like slip your hand through it. So you kind of want to decide which side is best to add that to. And I think I want this to be kind of the front, so I'll add it there. So on one side we can go ahead and start lining up the side accent panels. And if you wanted to, you could even add a little bit of piping across that seam if you've got extra scraps of something. I personally don't want to add piping just because it might be too many colors then. So that's clipped together, and we can work on this handheld strap option. So one of these pieces should be cut to 1.5, and one should be cut to 2 inches. And I'm using the leather piece as my 2-inch piece. So I'm just going to add a piece of double-sided tape to the center, and then peel that up and fold my ends to the center so that the only raw ends are on the side. I love this aged leather. It's so pretty. My only one problem with it is that sometimes these little imperfections can crack the surface, so I had to email Springfield Leather about it. I was like, no, that's not gonna work. easy center replacement. So for the top piece, you can repeat adding the tape, or you can take it over to your iron and iron those ends in. I might do a combination of both. Okay, that's not too bad. So then I'm going to add this 1/4 inch double-sided tape over the center here. Didn't mean to flip that around, but my nails decided they wanted to do that. Then you'll just kind of lay that centered over top. And then you just see a little peek of that fabric underneath. Super cute, right? I know. All right, I'm gonna switch to a top stitch length, so about 4.5. I'm gonna go down one side, and then back down the other. So there's that. Now if you wanted to, you could do another stitch down through the center, but I don't really think it needs it, so I ain't gonna do it. And then 2.5 inches, I believe, from the bottom edge is where you're going to lay this down onto the other side of your wristlet, and then just clip it in place. And then if you want, you could just leave it clipped in place, or you can baste stitch it before adding the accent panels. I'm gonna go ahead and baste stitch this because I don't want it to shift around. Like so. Perfect. Trim those extra threads. And then we can grab those accent panels and lay them over top. Okay, and then with a 3/8 inch seam allowance, we're gonna go stitch right along that edge. That was a good time to run out of bobbin thread, huh? I appreciate that, sewing machine. I appreciate that. If you're not quite sure what exactly a 3/8 inch seam allowance looks like, you can always use your ruler to mark out your seam allowance before sewing. So now we are going to open up the side seam. Oh, I love it so much. Keep your seam pointing out towards the accent panel. I'm going to use a stitch length of 4.5, just a nice top stitch, and go through that. it's so cute. So right here is a great kind of view of how textured this can get, this leather. And when you buy online, you can't really control that. Okay. So there are the two exterior panels ready to go, and now we're ready to So for the lining, I have decided to omit the slip pocket that is, I mean, it's part of the pattern, but it's pretty much optional if you don't want to add it. So I'm just going to be adding the zippered pocket on the inside to birth this through. So I'm going to start by folding in half one of the pocket panel pieces and one of the lining pieces, and we'll just add a little 7-inch zippered pocket. You can use an all-purpose zipper if you'd like, or you can use a handbag zipper. I'm probably just going to use a handbag zipper because I've got them hanging up over here by me. Maybe it's supposed to be 6 inches. Oh. Okay, so just gonna trace around the outside edge of the box. Back stitch at the start. Keep it nice and parallel. Back stitch at the end. Cut that open. I am using waterproof canvas to line this wristlet, so I decided to not use any foam or fleece to interface this. I may regret it, but you'll know by the time you watch this part that I'm mentioning it, whether or not I like it. My zipper nicely ironed. Oh, I need to pick out a top zipper too. Okay. And then we'll just sew that in place. So then we'll lay the other side of our zipper pocket, right sides together. We're going to leave the bottom open. And sew across the sides. And then what I like to do is fold the bottom of the zipper pocket under, and that just makes it so that when we turn this later, we've got a nice edge to sew along. Okay, so we'll leave that unzipped. This is where you would add a slip pocket. I believe if you join the Bagstock pattern group on Facebook and search in the files, they do have a link to where you can add card slots to this, which is awesome. If you wanted to, you could also add a D-ring for your wristlet strap, or you could add 2 D-rings and make it a really small crossbody, which I've done, and people go nuts for it because sometimes you just want a little tiny bag, and this is perfect for that. So I'm going to go ahead and grab a zipper that will be used across the top. I've got a bunch of these. Yeah, this no, that kind of clashes with the lining. I'm going to grab a purple one just to match my interior zipper. Make sure it's nicely ironed, pressed before we get started. Yeah, purple is fun. So the option for zipper tabs is in this pattern, and I did cut them out. It says you want to cut your zipper down to 9.5 inches and then add your tabs. So I'm just going to trim off a little bit of the zipper tape, like so, until it is, voila, 9.5. And we will fold the zipper tabs in towards the center. They should be 2 inch by 2 inch squares, so there's really no right or wrong way. And then we'll just lay our zipper inside, nicely sandwiched. And you can sew across just one side, but I like to sew across both. And then you don't have to trim this off. You can leave your zipper pieces in there and then do the other side. And then you can trim all your extra little threads. And then if you want to, you can trim the excess of your zipper tabs, but I'm just going to leave it. So here is the front of our wristlet. I've got a bunch of little leather fuzz, which is now all over my shirt, whatever. With my zipper pulled to the right. Guys, I don't know my right from my left, just FYI, for the most part. I'm just going to kind of center this over it. What I normally like to do is just use a 9-inch zipper and fold the ends under 90 degrees, but this works too. I'm just going to baste this in place. Perfect. And then I'm going to take one of my lining panels. I'm taking the one that would have a slip pocket or nothing if you're like me and you're kind of lazy, and laying that over top on the front. And then we're going to come around and stitch in a little ways from that existing stitch line from where we basted. Perfect. And now what I'm going to do is I'm only going to stitch across the front. I am not stitching through the lining, but we can sew all the way down. Or if you prefer, you can sew through your lining as well. Just start at the zip tab, end at the zip tab, don't sew all the way through. But I'm going to be sewing all the way through, and I'm just going to leave my lining out of the way. Extending my stitch length to 4.5. Be really careful over your accent pieces. It could get bulky, especially if you're using leather. Okay, so there's my front panel. Looking beautiful. Then we'll go ahead and add the back. I'm just gonna kind of center these. So I am kind of a little worried because my zipper tab is in my seam, so my zipper's not going to sit pretty. Just if that happens to you, keep that in mind. You don't want it to happen. But that's okay, because this is just for me. It's just a practice. And that's kind of why I prefer just a 9-inch zipper for it. I can adjust my seam allowance a little bit at that point though, so I'm not too worried. We'll make it work. Okay, so my linings are together, my exterior are together, and again, I'm going to only sew through my exterior, not through the lining. So all of my linings are pushed back towards the other side. I'm just gonna sew through the exterior, through that seam. Okay, so now we're ready to unzip it about halfway. We're gonna bring our right sides together. Make sure you line up the accent panels first. Those are really important. You don't want those to get off kilter. Push your zipper kind of in towards your lining. Light up your side, your zipper panels. And then you can start to clip everything else together. So you want to line these up first and then these up in either order, whatever you prefer. If you are adding a side D-ring, make sure it's been added by now. Otherwise, you know, don't. And we can sew along the outer edge of this entire thing. We're not leaving anything open in the lining except our zippered pocket, which at this point, if you're not sure, just make sure you've left it unzipped, because that would be bad. We're gonna switch our stitch length down to a 3.5. I'm just gonna start in the lining, and I'm going to have a wider seam allowance towards the lining than I am the exterior. So right now I'm probably at like 1/2 inch, and when I get towards the outside, it'll be 3/8 of an inch. And you want to make sure you're sewing right next to your zipper tabs, not through them. If you sew through your zipper tabs, it's not going to sit very pretty. I kind of like to get a little back stitch over my side accent stitch lines just to reinforce it. Now this is where I messed up my zipper tab, but that is gonna be okay because I'm just gonna sew right next to it, but not through it. Nailed it. And then I'm gonna start increasing my seam allowance. There we go. So I'm going to trim my excess, mostly just in the lining because I used a really small stitch length on the exterior, or seam allowance. Everything starts with an S in sewing, so my brain gets confused. Okay, so I guess I'll just trim it all. And now if you did use a very expensive leather on the outside, what you can do with your scraps is use them as little zipper pulls if you want, instead of throwing it away like this one here. We can kind of use as a little zipper pull. After we birth it, of course. So make sure everything is unzipped. That'll make your life easier. I'm gonna start by bringing the bottom of the exterior through first. And then push out those side corners. And then for your zipper tabs, you just want to give a nice little push on that corner. It might be difficult if you made them too long like I did. If you're very, very careful, you could use a pair of scissors to push them out, but I'm just gonna kind of struggle with my fingers. No, screw it. I'm just being very gentle. I'm not pushing on the leather, I'm pushing on the zipper tab. I would not recommend doing this unless you're very careful. And this is kind of why I hate zipper tabs. This one's not going anywhere. This is the one I messed up. There we go. We kind of massaged it through. We got it. We got it. All right, so now I'm ready to sew my lining opening closed. We can add a little name tag in there if you want. Which I will go ahead and do in case I decide I don't want this anymore and I sell it. And we can push this all inside. Zip it up and kind of push it into place. Make sure all those corners are nice and lined up, and that'll help it keep its shape. And then you can zip it closed, and then you have finished your sunshine wristlet. It's super cute. This is without any foam or fleece, and it does feel like a nice weight. I do like the padding that the foam gives it. Without being way too thick, but with the leather it would have just been way too much to add, so I don't hate it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, feel free to subscribe. Feel free to watch the next video, which is, you know, posted right there, so you may as well. Leave a comment below if you are making one, and let me know that you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time. Bye!